Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Today I'm bringing you a long, cinematic story about Barış and Yağmur, two names you've asked me to follow closely. All the details are right here. If you enjoy the video, please tap like, subscribe, and, if you'd like to support us even more, click the join button down below. Thank you, and now let's get into my video. For months, the most devoted viewers of Kensa Sekleri have whispered the same question: were those looks between Barış Baktaş and Yağmur Yüksel just expertly crafted acting beats, or the outline of something real? On set, the answer was always the same: a smile, a polite change of subject, the practiced discipline of two professionals who know exactly how to protect the work. Off-set, however, a parallel story was quietly taking root. Private dinners timed after long night shoots, shared playlists traded like talismans, and a growing habit of sending each other clips from old black and white films as private inside jokes. By the time the series entered its stride, their connection felt like a secret written in pencil, present, undeniable, but easily erased in public if needed. Friends say the strongest sign wasn't grand gestures but the delicate ones: how he would arrive 10 minutes early to a rehearsal because he knew she liked to run a scene exactly twice before the camera rolled, how she remembered his grandfather's favorite poem and quoted 2 lines of it when he was nervous about a close-up. Somewhere in the middle of all that quiet care, the inevitable happened: they fell in love, and they guarded that love as if it were a flickering candle in a drafty room. What no one outside their closest circle knew was that Barış, who carries himself with an easy, calm public poise, had been thinking for months about a proposal. Not a spectacle, not a viral moment built for clicks. He wanted a question asked once, well, with everything around them hushed enough that they could hear their own breathing. When the production schedule finally loosened, he planned a short escape. The destination was chosen with intent: Venice, a city that lives at the pace of water, where time seems to fold, past and present held together by bridges and tides. They arrived not with entourages and press but as 2 travelers with small suitcases and comfortable shoes. Their hotel wasn't one of the flashy palazzos, it was a quiet building that opened onto a narrow canal, where curtains rippled in a morning breeze and the smell of coffee drifted up from a bar that took exacting pride in its espresso. Barış had arranged almost everything in advance. A walk mapped along lesser-known sestieri, a table set aside in a trattoria where the owner smiled without asking for a photo, and a viewing at a tiny jewelry atelier on a side street so narrow that 2 people passing had to turn slightly sideways. About the ring, it wasn't the largest stone, and that was the point. The jeweler, an elderly woman with steady hands, showed them a setting that seemed to belong to the city itself: simple lines, a delicate bezel, a band etched with a pattern that caught the light like tiny waves. Barış returned alone the next day, thanked the jeweler in careful Italian, and tucked the small box into the inner pocket of his jacket, where, he later said, his heartbeat could remind it what it would soon be protecting. He chose dawn for the moment. Not the tourist dawn of splashy sky and camera crews, but the true slow light just before the city wakes, when fishermen push off, when the bells sound like they're clearing their throats, and when footsteps echo because there are so few of them. Instead of a gondola under stars, which would have drawn eyes they didn't want, he led Yağmur across a sequence of quiet bridges toward a tiny stone span that arched above a still canal no wider than 2 cars. The water below mirrored the pale windows like folded silk. There, on that little bridge, with no one around but a stray cat and the faint rustle of a laundry line, he stopped. He didn't make a speech rehearsed for social media. He told her 3 things: what he loved about who she had been before they met, what he admired about who she was becoming, and what he promised to guard if she let him share the years ahead. Then he asked the simplest, bravest question in the world. Witnesses? Only the ripples and the first rays of light sliding over brick. The answer? A breath, a laugh that sounded like relief, and then yes, quiet at first, then firmer, yes. The ring fit as if it had always been waiting for her hand. He kissed her forehead, she pressed her cheek to his shoulder, and for a long moment they said nothing, because nothing needed saying. They celebrated the way they liked to live, softly. 2 cappuccinos, 2 warm cornetti filled with cream that left a powdered sugar fingerprint on her sweater and made them both laugh. A handwritten note placed under the saucer, weighted by a coin, grazie per la gentilezza. There was no choreographed photo shoot, no hired lens trailing them through alleys. They took one picture together on a disposable camera Barış had bought at the airport, precisely because it could not be uploaded. The frame caught the edge of the bridge, the slight tilt of the horizon, and both of their faces only halfway centered. Imperfect, honest, theirs. And yet, even the quietest promises find a way to be heard. Later that day, a passerby filmed a few seconds from a distant fondamenta, 2 silhouettes on a small bridge, her hand to her mouth, his arm reaching into a pocket, the softest embrace. The clip was grainy, the faces indistinct, but the internet does not require precision when it has devotion. Within hours, fan pages were cross-referencing coats, shoes, the line of a jaw and profile. Theories multiplied with the kind of fervor usually reserved for premieres and finales. Some guessed Venice instantly from the geometry of the bridge, others latched onto a brief glimpse of the ring when the sun caught it just right. By evening, the speculation reached the kind of fever pitch that turns rumors into ticker-tape headlines. And still, silence from the couple. No denial, no confirmation, only a short caption on a black and white photo of a canal, posted by Barış, when two paths learn each other's pace. Hours later, a post from Yağmur. An empty pastry plate dusted with sugar, a folded paper napkin with a handwritten word barely visible, always. They would not feed the frenzy with performative declarations, they would simply place a clue on the table and trust their audience to read it for what it was. Back home, the reactions were a tidal wave of warmth. Colleagues, even those famous for avoiding comment, sent private messages that somehow found their way into public knowledge, a bouquet delivered to a set, a bottle of sparkling water with a ribbon, a note that read, "May your rehearsals be kind and your home be kinder." Fans posted montages of their favorite scenes from Kensa Sekleri, spliced with the quiet footage from Venice, set to piano instrumentals and the kind of heartfelt lyrics that make comment sections dissolve into congratulations. The tabloids, predictably, wanted details: who knew first, who helped plan, whether families had already met to bless the decision. Those who actually knew kept the circle intact, and so the story stood where it had always wanted to stand, in the realm of what mattered, not the realm of spectacle. What happens next? If you know them by now, you can guess, work does not stop. The gift of a strong private life is not retreat but steadiness. She returns to set with that light in her eyes that says a worry has finally unclenched. He reads scripts with the patience of someone who knows where he's going when the day ends. They make calls to family at unglamorous hours, negotiate calendars, and draw up a small list of non-negotiables: dinners without phones, monthly walks with no talking for the first 10 minutes, the agreement that big decisions will be made early in the day rather than late at night when doubts are loud. There will be time for celebrations, the intimate kind first. A dinner with parents where laughter outnumbers toasts, a gathering of a few friends who were there before the words premiere and ratings entered the conversation. If a party comes later, it will be because the private moments have already had their space to breathe. As for the wedding questions filling your timelines, the couple's inner circle smiles and repeats the same line: when there's news meant for the world will hear it. Why does this particular love story resonate so strongly? Partly because it stands as the opposite of the staged romance. It's not resisting publicity out of disdain, it's simply choosing intimacy as the foundation. Partly because Barış and Yağmur have always played characters who must learn the slow arts: trust, forgiveness, timing, and now they are practicing those arts where it counts. And partly because, even at the peak of attention, they remain careful with each other. In a culture that often confuses volume with truth, carefulness feels revolutionary. For those who want to read meaning into the smallest details, here's a handful you'll enjoy. The bridge he chose is a few steps from a small church whose door is almost always open, even when no services are underway. The cafe where they said nothing and everything is run by two sisters who always draw a small heart in the foam of cappuccinos when they notice people holding hands. The jeweler keeps a habit of placing every finished ring on the windowsill for 1 minute, so it can meet the day before it leaves the workshop. None of this proves anything, and yet it tells you everything. If you're listening, the proposal was not about performance, it was about choosing the ordinary things, stone, water, bread, light, so that the memory would be anchored to something that lasts. So, to answer the question you've been asking since the first rumor trembled across your feed. Yes, the story is as romantic as you hoped, and no, it does not belong to anyone but them. Our role, as viewers who care, is simple: to cheer, to respect, and to let them reveal the next chapter in their own time. In an age of instant everything, patience can feel like a radical act of love. Thank you so much for watching my video. If this story moved you, leave a comment telling me your favorite moment, from the quiet bridge to the powdered sugar fingerprint. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want to support the channel, click the join button for behind-the-scenes deep dives and extended features. See you in the next video. Take care, and goodbye.